yeah, let's start off with the news right away. Welcome back to my channel. I'm really, very happy today because of the US travel ban finally announcing it. Do check out my previous video as well, which I posted this morning. But anyway, let's get right back to the video. As of right now, US has planned to remove all travel restrictions for all the countries that are in the travel ban as of November 8th. So there are going to be new rules that are put in place from now on, essentially that affects all the countries that you are traveling from, not just from the banned countries, all the countries. Essentially, now US will only allow vaccinated tourists or vaccinated travelers to come into the country. This means you have to be fully vaccinated. If your country has double shots, like for example Pfizer, Moderna, or Covishield, AstraZeneca, you should be fully vaccinated. And along with that, you need to take a negative test to come into the country 72 hours prior to entering the country, as long as you're fully vaccinated. The new rules are also that they are going to have some sort of system for contact tracing, in the sense that they will at the airport or your airlines will collect information such as your name, contact details, email ID, and all those details, and they will import it to CDC guidelines for contact tracing, just to ensure that you aren't carrying any new variant of virus. So these are called contact tracing. Obviously, there hasn't been a good system of contact tracing as of right now, but they are hoping to establish that. So along with that, there'll be new sort of procedures from now onwards, from November, saying that you might need to fill an extra form at the airport with all your details and stuff. No details have been provided yet, but I'll keep posting on that as when I come to know about it. So these are all the new rules that will be in November for the travel ban, the countries that are in travel ban, as well as the other countries. To come into the US, you really need to get vaccinated. What about people who are unvaccinated Americans or green card holders? So for them, the rules are a little bit more stringent than us, unsurprisingly. So the reason for that is that they really want you to get vaccinated. So for them, you have to take the COVID test 24 hours, like a day prior to entering the US, which is very difficult, to be very honest. Like, I don't think it's even possible if you're coming in from a third country 24 hours prior. But anyways, if you're unvaccinated, you have to get 24 hours prior, and also provide proof that you will be getting a COVID test as soon as you land into the country, into the US. So a little bit more stringent. Again, they will collect your details and import it to the CDC as well. And more about that later. The other news, which is kind of sad, is also the fact that they have extended or postponed Canada land border. I kept mentioning in all my videos that we need to wait for Canada border, and then we'll sort of learn more about the US travel restrictions. But now they've extended from August 21st to September 21st, just a day before. Now, just a few hours before, they've extended it again to October 21st. Again, there are some regulations with respect to land border because of a lot of migrant issues coming from the south. So because of that, they want to be a little bit more mindful about that, I guess. So right now, again, a month delay, postponing for the travel restrictions for again coming in via the land from Canada as well as Mexico. However, the air travel is still open. So these are some of the rules that are in place right now. Again, very happy to hear that finally the travel restrictions are being open. There's been some comments that I read in my previous video, like the one that I posted in the morning. What about people who have already booked tickets, hotel stay and everything? Again, you can still use that before October if you want to cancel it and wait till November for easier direct route. You can do that. Else, again, the quarantine option is still present for people who are traveling before the travel ban is removed. So till then, you still have to use the quarantine option if you're flying in October or even the next week or something like that. So till they remove it, whatever process exists, which is essentially you can't travel from the banned countries, you have to stay 14 days in another third country. Those all exist till early November, whenever they're going to announce the set date. Nothing yet set yet. So yeah, for people who want to travel, this is a great news, great opportunity. Again, if you want to book tickets again, you can. I would suggest somewhere around mid-November or early Thanksgiving date. You can book, and airlines are a little accommodating this way. For like postponing or preponing the ticket as well. Ticket prices are going up as soon as they announce this result, and it's a huge relief for airline industries and everyone. So with that, we'll cut to the White House press secretary, what she has to say about the travel updates.
Secondly, back in July, you opted not to lift the travel restrictions on international visitors. What's changed between then and now?
Well, back in July, we also announced that there were a series of working groups that were both interagency and working with a range of countries and partners in the world to determine what the most equitable and clear policies should be moving forward to resume broader international travel. And the older rules were not equitable in our view, and they were a bit confusing. And so this was an effort to pursue that. As was announced in a call earlier today, but I can reaffirm some of the specifics that were announced. Starting in November, we will be implementing, I should say, in early November, we'll be putting in place strict protocols to prevent the spread of COVID-19 from passengers flying internationally into the United States by requiring that adult foreign nationals traveling to the United States be fully vaccinated. Obviously, this is the conclusion of a policy process on that particular issue, an important one facing many people around the world. Go ahead.
Hey, a question about what's going on at the border. Is somebody asking the foreign nationals who are walking into Del Rio, Texas and setting up camps on this side of the border for proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test?
Well, first of all, I can readdress for you or re-talk you through what steps we take.
That is the policy for people who fly into the country. So if somebody walks into the country right across the river, does somebody ask them to see their vaccination card?
Well, let me explain to you again, Peter, how our process works. As individuals come across the border, and they are both assessed for whether they have any symptoms. If they have symptoms, the intention is for them to be quarantined. That is our process. They're not intending to stay here for a lengthy period of time. I don't think it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. These are individuals, as we've noted and as we've been discussed. We are expelling individuals based on Title 42 specifically because of COVID, because we want to prevent a scenario where large numbers of people are gathering, posing a threat to the community and also to the migrants themselves. So those are the policies that we put in place, in large part because, again, the CDC continues to recommend Title 42 be in place, given we're facing a global pandemic.
Back to the international COVID vaccine requirements for travelers. A number of individuals and European allies have been pressing for access to the United States, families that have been separated, business relationships that have been affected by it. And so before the president goes to the United Nations General Assembly and has meetings with foreign partners, this is when the decision is announced that vaccination will allow people to come into the country. Is that part of the president's sort of foreign policy outreach this week, the timing of this decision?
If we were going to make things much easier for ourselves, we would have done it prior to June when the president had his first foreign trip or earlier this summer. This is when the process concluded. We want to make the information available to the public. We're basing it on science and when the process concluded, and here we are today.
Do you anticipate that Americans who are coming back to the United States who would be affected by this having to be tested, would there be any opt-out policy for those who don't want to do that?
You mean people who don't want to be vaccinated, who are Americans?
Yeah, unvaccinated Americans who would be flying home from foreign travel.
So there would still be requirements for individuals, Americans who are not vaccinated, including providing proof of a negative test result taken within 1 day of their departure, and providing proof they have purchased a viral test to be taken after arrival for Americans who are not fully vaccinated, which at this point would obviously apply to children as well.
And one last point, given the whole political timing, or at least the timing seen in a political context of this vaccine requirement, following up on what Jeremy was asking, does the president go into UNGA knowing that his relationship with allies has hit a bumpy patch?
I think the president's view, having been on the world scene for 50 years, is that you always have to work on your relationships, and that includes with global leaders. But he believes that our relationships are sustaining over the course of many decades, that every step he's taken from the moment he took office was with the intention of rebuilding alliances and rebuilding those partnerships that were frayed over the last 4 years. And his view, as I've conveyed over the course of the early part of the briefing, is that that doesn't mean that the bar is we will always agree with everything our partners and allies do, nor will they agree with everything we do, but that our relationships are stronger, they have a stronger basis, and that we have an opportunity to work together on the global issues that the world is facing. And that's what he expects the focus of the next few days to be.
An announcement on international travel. Do you know if there's any discussion right now about how the U.S. will decide who is vaccinated, what counts as vaccinated? Will the Chinese vaccine count? Will the Russian vaccine count? AstraZeneca? Is there discussion on what exactly is vaccinated?
Yes, this is all a part of the process. It's going to be implemented again in early November. In terms of how the proof of process will work, which is a very good question, that's part of what the implementation interagency discussions will focus on.
So we'll have an answer before November?
Yes, exactly. Hopefully sooner than that. Go ahead.
Just a technical thing on the international travel policy. You talk about unvaccinated Americans. What about like green card holders, visa holders? Would they, people who under the current travel policy can get into the country, would they have to be vaccinated, or would they have to do the testing protocol like Americans?
That's a really good question. I'll have to ask what the specification is there for them.
And then
We're encouraged to see that, but it needs to move its way through the official government process.
And on the international travel today, you talked about the policy process. What was the White House looking, or the administration looking to see in order to get to this point today to make the change? Was it the vaccination rates in Europe? And how will the contact tracing work, and what resources will we put to that? Because that's not been something we've seen a really solid, robust effort in the U.S. on over the last year and a half.
Yeah, so this was an ongoing process, as you all know, that we discussed pretty extensively here. CDC is going to issue a contact tracing order that will require airlines to collect comprehensive contact information for every passenger coming to the United States, and to provide that information promptly to the CDC upon request, to follow up with travelers who have been exposed to COVID-19 variants or other pathogens. And these requirements will apply globally. That's a good example of where some of the considerations as we were making these policy decisions we had to account for and plan for, and ensure that we could implement this policy in a way that was clear, that was equitable, that provided, that ensured that there was equal treatment around the world of how people could come into the United States given COVID protocols. But that's an important question. We wanted to make sure we addressed a lot of those internally as well. Go ahead.
Also on the international travel announcement, it did not include an opening of the land border north or south. Is administration worried that any easing at the southern border would be contributing to the immigration problems, and was that a factor in that decision?
Well, this is an ongoing process, right? So Title 19 is what is in place, of course, at land borders. It's being extended for another month through October 21st. We don't have any updates or predictions at this point in time, but obviously we're continuing to consider, as is evident by our announcement today, how we can return to a place of travel and people being able to move from country to country, including at our land borders. But I don't have any prediction of that at this point.
With that, I want to thank you all for constantly supporting this channel, as well as all with your flurry of positive comments and everything. Thank you so much over these past couple of weeks. Again, I'll keep posting more updates on this as and when I come to know more about it. Obviously, I am extremely happy that you guys have followed along me through this journey. So yeah, it would really mean a lot if you can subscribe as well as like this video. It really means a lot, and that is all, y'all. Hopefully I'll see you in another video with some more good news and some more travel updates, I guess. I also post a lot of vlogs, so do check that out as well. And that is all, y'all. So hopefully I'll see you later. Bye.